It's that time once again for my mid-year channel update video. There has been so much going on with me over the course of the past couple months and so many things I have to fill you guys in on. So let's not delay, get yourself a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and let's touch base. So let's just get right into it, shall we? First off, I have to give a massive thank you to all of the new viewers here on the YouTube channel. Not only did we hit a record high in terms of members last month, we also hit a record high in terms of subscribers. Over the course of the past 6 months, I've grown by a whopping 150,000 subscribers. And I know a lot of that on the back end is coming from shorts. I've had some shorts that really blew up, but I'm also seeing a lot of people coming in from my gaming live stream. So I just want to say thank you if you are watching this video today, which hopefully you are. Hopefully if you're a new viewer, you are interested in what other content I make here on the channel. I just want to say thank you. And again, I got to give a massive thank you to my members on the channel as well, because as I always mention on these shows, you guys are the lifeblood behind everything. Without your support, I wouldn't be able to do videos on a variety of different topics. I'd have to stick to one niche and really hammer home things in the algorithm, but I don't got to worry about that anymore because of all of you. So once again, massive shout out. This has just been an incredible 6 months in terms of growth. Not only has it been a good 6 months in terms of growth, in terms of subscribers, but I've also gone up a ton in terms of views. We hit 20 million views here on the YouTube channel over the course of the last 6 months. To put that in perspective, that is a fifth of my total viewership in the 13 years I've been uploading on YouTube. So that's a really massive amount of views. And again, it's all happened over the course of 6 months. So massive thank you to all you supporting the content. Now, in terms of content, there is a lot to go over today. So I'm actually going to put on my glasses and I'm going to be referencing a little sheet that I wrote for myself, a little cheat sheet of everything that I have to tell you guys about, because there really is too much. It's been overwhelming in a good way, but also in a very stressful way. So let's go over all of it, especially if you've been watching me over the last month or so. June was just nuts this year because I went right from Summer Game Fest into hosting the Sonic 35th anniversary stream, into doing my full playthrough of Star Fox, into traveling to EVO, coming back and immediately jumping back into work. There's just been a lot happening over these last couple weeks, and that is paired with all of these game releases. I think if there is a trend with 2026 right now, it is that everybody really is pushing out of the way of Grand Theft Auto later in the year. And what that's doing is it's moving all these other games and all this other stuff that I would normally cover in the later half of the year up to the summer months. And so it's just one thing after another after another. I've got brands reaching out to do stuff, and there's games that I want to stream and things that I want to play. But since this next 2 weeks is a little bit of a lull, it's another big reason why I figured I would do a channel update for this week, because I actually have a little bit of breathing room to fill you all in on what I am planning. Now, first and foremost, I am moving Touch Base from Thursdays to Friday. I'm doing this for a multitude of reasons. First, I tested the waters with a couple other episodes of Touch Base over the course of this year to see which day performed better, and it seems like overall the Friday uploads performed better than the Thursday uploads. I don't know if that's just due to the fact that some people are off work, or they're getting into the weekend and they put it on their watch later, or people just aren't really paying attention to YouTube on Thursdays. Obviously, Nintendo Directs or things like that usually end up happening on Thursdays, but outside of really big events, I'm trying not to stream or do videos or upload anything on Thursdays. One, to sort of keep that day open in case there is a big event to react to, but also two, just to give myself a little bit of breathing room and have a dedicated day to sit down and record things as opposed to just streaming. So much of my time is spent being live either here on YouTube or on Twitch, and that's great. Obviously, I love being live and I love covering a bunch of different games and shows and movies and all that kind of stuff, but that doesn't leave a lot of room for me to sit down and actually record. And I do want to have more recorded content up, both short form on my other social media channels, but also here on YouTube. And so a good way to do that, like I said, is just to dedicate a day for myself to record. So that's what I'm going to be doing on Thursdays. I'm spending those mostly as recording days, and I'm taking my Wednesdays off. Now that leaves Friday through Tuesday. Now Fridays, like I brought up earlier, every other Friday you can expect a Touch Base episode from me. Every Sunday we're already going live with with my reactions to the new chapters of One Piece. And every other Monday, many of you already know this, I host another podcast called Japan Time. We go live with Japan Time on the Japan Time channel to talk about all the latest in gaming and anime. That then leaves Saturdays and Tuesdays. And if you guys have been paying attention to my Twitch recently, you've probably noticed that on those 2 days, I've been live pretty consistently no matter what over the course of the last couple months. And I think a big reason for that is I just think consistency is the thing that is really going to help me in terms of being a creator. Like always, no matter what, just having something on one of those days, even if it's only like an hour or an hour and a half, going live playing Mario Kart with all of you or like reacting to some funny videos or whatever. I just think it's really important for myself and my own workload to have like dedicated days that I know I will be live no matter what. Again, I'm already live no matter what on Sundays and on Mondays with One Piece in Japan Time, but I am adding Saturdays and Tuesdays to the mix there too. So if you are not already following me on my Twitch channel, you are missing out on a boatload of content. Now, I know there's a lot of people who don't like to use Twitch or are never Twitchers, and I totally get that too, but thankfully that is what the VOD channel is for. Some of you might have also noticed I've been uploading a lot more to the RogersBase VOD channel this year as well. I have my full playthrough of Mario Galaxy up there, my full playthrough of Resident Evil Requiem, my full playthrough stream of Rhythm Heaven Groove, all of the Honkai Star Rail streams that we've done, all of the other Bleach streams that we ended up hitting the sub goals for, all that stuff is over on the VOD channel. And I'm going to try my best to upload the Twitch stuff to the VOD channel as well if I think there's a lot of interest in it. However, there's one stream coming up that is not going to be on Twitch. It's going to be right here on YouTube next Saturday, and that is the next Revery stream. It has been a very long time since the last time that I hosted a Revery stream, but I'm doing it this year and I'm making a lot of changes. I feel like the last few Revery streams that we've done have all been a lot of fun, and obviously the host did a great job, but I feel like they've gotten a little too chaotic. There are just so many people in a call now, like 20, 30 something people in a call, all trying to talk over each other. So what I tried to do with some of my other fellow creators is like plan out a schedule for this year's Revery. So we're going to be live for I think about 4 or 5 hours next Saturday, and we're going to be talking about everything that's been going on in the world of One Piece, from the second season of the live action to our thoughts on the upcoming The One Piece that's going to be coming out, plus how we feel about what's going on in Elbaf right now and the anime in general. There's just been a lot that has happened in terms of One Piece since the last Revery stream, and so I felt like now was going to be a perfect time to do it. So again, the theme for this year's Revery is to try to bring it back to basics and make it a little bit like how some of those early Reveries felt, where we never had more than like 12 or 15 people in a call. People were just cycling out to give their thoughts on what's going on in One Piece during separate segments. I'm also planning on doing little super chat segments in between, so when people ask questions, we'll actually be able to talk about them as opposed to trying to like insert them during other conversations where there's a lot of stuff going on. But either way, I am stoked. Again, it has been a very long time since the last time I hosted a Revery, and that will be happening on Saturday, July 18th, and it's pretty much going to be an all-day affair, so make sure you don't miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, while we're on the topic of things that I haven't done in a really long time that are also coming back to the YouTube channel this year, I am also extremely excited to announce the return of Metal Gear Week. Yes, you heard me correctly, old school RogersBase viewers. Metal Gear Week is returning in 2026. We have not done one of these since 2018. And those of you that were still with me all the way back then probably remember that was my first ever playthrough here on the YouTube channel. I did a complete playthrough of Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. We also did some of those other fun little themed streams where I did like the Ground Zeroes challenges. You know, I played through Subspace with Snake. We did the Nintendo Labo where I built a Metal Gear. So many of those streams have been lost to time just due to the fact that I got hacked back in 2023, but I am bringing it back better than ever this year with a dedicated Metal Gear Week that, get this, is going to be sponsored by Konami. I'm going to be playing through all of Metal Gear Solid 4 and Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, and I have a lot of other really cool things planned related to Metal Gear. They're going to be happening at the end of August, so please look forward to it. RogersBase's Metal Gear Week is finally coming back. And while, like I said, a lot of those old live streams were lost to time, one that wasn't was my playthrough of Twin Snakes, which is available in the member drive right now, along with a bunch of my old playthrough streams and old watch through streams that were previously copyright blocked. I've really been working in the background this year to just try to archive as much of my content as possible and have it available for all the members in the vault. And now we're at a point where there's so much stuff in the vault that I have to now re-upload unlisted to the VOD channel so people have access to that content too. There's just been a lot of stuff. Again, I feel like if you aren't taking advantage of the stuff that's available for free on the VOD channel, go do it. There are literally hundreds of hours worth of content that's on that channel that I know a lot of you haven't watched. For example, some of you might not even be aware of this, but I am currently in the middle of a playthrough of Deltarune and a read-through of the newest chapters of the Hunter x Hunter manga, and the VODs for both of those streams are already being uploaded to the VOD channel. My entire playthrough of Deltarune Chapter 1 is already up there by the time you're watching this, and my reaction to the first of the newest chapters of Hunter x Hunter is up there too, and I am planning, hopefully copyright willing, to upload my reactions to the new episodes of Thousand Year Blood War that are coming out at the end of this month over on the VOD channel as well. That one's a little bit more iffy just due to the fact that obviously I've been getting stricken up the wazoo with anime content recently. I even got a copyright strike on my first Deltarune stream that I did here on the YouTube channel. I didn't even know that was something that could get striked, but it is what it is. I've been uploading that stuff over on the VOD channel. So again, if you're interested in Deltarune, Bleach, or Hunter x Hunter, that stuff is all available there. Also, I've seen some people confused recently about whether or not I'm still keeping up with the Boruto 2 Blue Vortex manga. The answer is yes. I do those as part of my Roger Ramble streams for my members here on YouTube every month. Those are still happening. If you tune into those live streams, you're a member here on the channel, you get access to those reactions immediately. And then eventually, once we build up enough chapters, I upload them as a reaction compilation over on the VOD channel too. Once again, lots of content over on that channel that you might not know about. So I got a lot of stuff planned for the main channel between the Revery and Metal Gear Week. I have a lot of stuff that's being uploaded to the VOD channel that I'm streaming live on Twitch. I'm being more consistent on Twitch, but there is still more for me to announce, and that is I can officially say I am planning on doing 2 more major playthroughs this year. I know, like I said, we're in the middle of Deltarune right now. I already did Star Fox earlier this year. Technically, I already did Rhythm Heaven Groove and Minish Cap as well, but the next 2 big playthroughs on the channel will be, no surprise, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. These are obviously 2 games that I am highly anticipating. I cannot wait to play through them, and I want to experience them for the first time with all of you, so look forward to those streams later on this year. And of course, it goes without saying, we will at least do 1 stream for One Piece Grand Gourmet. I don't know how much of that game is multiplayer. I don't know if it's just going to be like a fun little cozy game, but regardless, there will be something from me on that game here on the main YouTube channel as well. I am so stoked for that. And actually, while we're on the topic of One Piece, that seems like a good opportunity to transition into some of the events that I'm going to be attending later on this year as well. Obviously, this last month was crazy between Summer Game Fest and then EVO and then Anime Expo, but at the end of this month, I can now announce that I will be at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm going to be there the entire weekend doing a bunch of fun stuff. You're going to find out more details a little bit later on this month, but I will be at San Diego Comic-Con. I will also be at One Piece Fest in mid-August, and right after that, I will be at Pokemon Worlds in San Francisco as well. So again, lots of opportunities to come up and say hi. I am very much looking forward to seeing all of you and experiencing what those events have to offer. And of course, if you can't make it to any of these events, don't stress about it. I'm planning on doing videos covering all of them as well. Now, I think that is pretty much everything. I'm looking at my list: events, member drive update, Metal Gear Week, everything, new content. I got all of this listed, so I think we are good here, but there is one other thing that I want to plug, and that is my Instagram page. I have used a lot less Twitter this year, and I'm planning on using a lot less Twitter, but I've been using Instagram a lot more, and I've been uploading a lot of shorts that are only available there that aren't even here on the YouTube channel. So if you want to see more of my insights at some of these events or just my everyday musings, make sure to go follow me on Instagram at, of course, RogersBase. Now, if you've made it through all of this channel update video, first off, I want to say congratulations congratulations. But two, do me a favor, leave a like on the video and also write in the comment section now that you've gotten to this part, let's go, so I know you've actually watched the whole thing. Now, with that being said, let's get into the Roger Roundup for this week. Now, I haven't really been playing a lot of stuff off camera. There are a couple things that I want to talk about, but the first thing I want to discuss on this week's Roger Roundup isn't even a video game at all. It's actually a card game. I have been playing a ton of Magic the Gathering recently. I know this is actually a Pokeball-shaped deck box, but inside you can see there's actually Magic cards. And I've been getting so into it that I've actually also put up a setup in place for my live streams in case I ever want to stream playing it with my physical cards. So check this out. I actually changed the way my top-down camera works, where now you can see right over here, wahoo, my cards. So obviously I know it's a little off right now because they don't have all the correct lighting. But when I do plan on doing more unboxing streams or, card openings or whatever, we now have a camera to do that really nicely where you could both see me and also see the top-down view. Look at that. Really, really nice. I also want to bring up something else that I've been playing a lot recently, and that is Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Obviously, I brought up earlier in today's stream that I hosted the Sonic 35th anniversary event with Fidel and with Jackie with Sega. It was a ton of fun. We raised $55,000 for St. Jude's. It was an absolute blast, but one of the things we did on that live stream was play Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Now, some of you might remember, end of last year, I did a whole video talking about my first experience with Sonic Racing Crossworlds, but admittedly, I did not play that much since that video, just because last fall into like where we are now, there's just been too many games released. However, I have been playing a lot of Sonic Racing Crossworlds off stream recently. In fact, I got through every single cup in the game with Classic Sonic, and I competed in the Sonic 35th event that just happened as well. And man, I forgot how good this game is. Obviously, I still love Mario Kart World, and I still love Kirby Air Riders. I am not in the camp that thinks like you only need to play one. I like playing all three, but like one thing I really do appreciate about Crossworlds is how technical it is. It is certainly a more technical game than both Mario Kart World and Kirby Air Riders. I still feel like I err on the side of Mario Kart World in terms of the overall soundtrack, though I gotta say, when Studiopolis hits during that third run, whenever you're doing a Crossworlds map, I love that. And obviously, I will always have a place in my heart for City Trial, but man, I forgot just how good Sonic Racing Crossworlds is, so I've been playing a lot of that. And another thing that I've been playing a lot of off camera is ActRaiser Renaissance. This is a game that came out years ago, and I know a lot of you are probably like, ActRaiser? Why this of all games? Essentially, there was a thread on social media recently in which a bunch of people were coming up with ideas for what a Bowser game could look like, and I brought up an idea that I'd mentioned a couple times on live streams before about how I really think an ActRaiser type city management game with Bowser could be really, really cool with action segments in between, similar to how ActRaiser was back in the day. And when I was typing all this stuff up, I was like, I actually never went back and finished ActRaiser Renaissance. I want to hop back into it and see how I like it. Dude, that game is so good. The reorchestrated music is awesome. The new artwork is awesome. I haven't beaten it yet. I've just been, like I said, playing it on and off in between doing events and doing other videos and doing other streams. But I am absolutely planning on finishing it this time around, which is something that I didn't do when it first released, whatever that was, in like 2021. But yeah, ActRaiser Renaissance. If you're a fan of the old retro ActRaiser game, check this one out. It's a really good remake. But naturally, as the Nintendrone I am, I've been playing a lot more Star Fox and Rhythm Heaven Groove off stream too. Rhythm Heaven Groove I streamed the majority of, but I had mentioned that I wanted to do the last few remixes off camera because of that audio delay once you're playing with controller on TV with wireless headphones versus playing in handheld mode. I have since done every remix in the game. I have like 33 or 34 medals, and I feel a lot stronger about it now than I did when I first played it on stream. I enjoyed myself when we did it on stream, but I didn't love it the way that I thought I was going to love it. But now going through and getting the perfect medals and doing it in handheld mode, I think the game just really clicked with me. I do think remix wise, this is probably one of the weaker entries in terms of all the Ribbon Heavens. I don't think there's a lot of good remixes in this one. 2 is really good. The Auto one is really good. Some of the later remixes are good, but some of them, I don't know, just seem kind of half-hearted. Whereas I think a lot of the individual games this time around are some of the best in the series. Dude, Stop and Go is great. The little one with the car where you have the brakes and the 3, 2, 1, go. I like Slice and Dice Kitchen with the I found myself doing that just in real life while I'm cooking over the past couple days. I love Slice and Dice Kitchen. I also really like the background dancer one. I keep forgetting the name of that one, but that one's really complicated and actually pretty difficult for a Rhythm Heaven game, but I love that. And I also love the alien language one. I'm a big fan of the occult, as you know, and so anything related to aliens I like, but I also like the bum 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 cha. Like all the little cues for that one I think are really nicely done. I will say though, I am still not a fan of Sneezy Moon. I don't think anyone can convince me that Sneezy Moon is like a really good Rhythm Heaven game. I just think the cues are a little too muddied, and it's also just really hard. Maybe it's a skill issue on my end, but yeah, I'm not a fan of Sneezy Moon. What I am a fan of is Star Fox's multiplayer. I've played so much more of the multiplayer since my big playthrough stream a couple weeks ago, and I am having a blast, not just playing in game chat mode, but just like matchmaking online with my camera off for a couple matches before I go to bed. That mode, and I mean this in the best way possible, it feels like an early 2000s GameCube multiplayer mode because the dog fights are really good. You're always doing something different. You've got all the power-ups. I feel like it's very easy to find matches online as well, and I love the fact that it also has the orchestrated music. Star Fox Assault didn't even necessarily always have orchestrated music during the multiplayer mode, but this one does, and it is just fantastic. Obviously, I already did my full playthrough stream of Star Fox, talked about how much I love that game, but I am continuing to love this game. I really do think at the end of the year, this is going to be like one of my Game of the Year contenders, which I know is crazy because one, it's a close remake of an N64 game, and two, there's probably going to be two close remakes of N64 games that will be on my Game of the Year list at the end of this year, but I don't care, man. I'm an unk. Star Fox has been amazing. It's been, beyond my expectations in terms of how much I was going to like this game. I knew I was really going to like playing through the main campaign. I did not think I was going to like the multiplayer as much as I do. It's just been so much fun, and I love it, and I'm so happy that Velan Studios knocked it out of the park. And that will bring me to my viewer questions for the week. As always, if you want to have your questions potentially answered on the show, you can become a member at the Nakama tier and up, join the Discord server, and enter your question in the touch base room, and I might just answer it live on the show. Now, again, my schedule has been sporadic over the last month. Thankfully, we're finally getting back into the swing of things, but some of these questions might actually date back to weeks ago, so just keep that in mind when I'm answering them. The first one comes from Clax and actually directly references the last episode, which is right after Summer Game Fest. A lot has happened since then. Clax said, I meant to ask this earlier, but I had to swap questions when the last touch base was Summer Game Fest themed. You mentioning Soup Plantation a while back got me thinking. What's a restaurant you haven't been to in a while that you want to go back to before it's hard to find locally or even goes out of business completely? For me, I really want Wiener Schnitzel. I think about the commercials for the delicious one in the 90s and the early 2000s, and I think they may have imprinted on me. That's a good question. I mean, I would have answered this Old Country Buffet, but unfortunately that went out of business. And yeah, I did love Soup Plantation. They actually just opened a new location. It's not technically called Soup Plantation and it's new owners, but they use the recipes from the older restaurants. That's still available here in Southern California. Go Google it. Look up New Soup Plantation 2026. You'll find it. What is a restaurant that I like to frequent before it goes out of business? This isn't one that I think has any risk of going out of business. I just want to give them a shout out because it's the only brunch place that I can take Obi, and that is BB's. There's one in Burbank. There's one in Glendale. It is a great breakfast place. They have matcha pancakes, these really awesome omelets, cinnamon roll French toast. They just have a great variety of food. Everyone there is always super nice, and they always bring out a little water bowl for Obi. So shout out to BB's. I love BB's. This next one comes from Misty H92, who said, now that you're all done with the Amazing Digital Circus, how would you rank the characters? I'm going to pass on this one because I don't want to get any of the fandom upset at me, but I will say, go check out my Amazing Digital Circus stream where I talk in depth about all the characters and how I feel about them and who some of my favorites are. But yeah, I definitely don't want to rank all of them. I will answer your other question though. Misty also said 4th of July is coming up. Again, as you can see, a lot of these questions are older. I would like to ask, what are some 4th of July traditions you did when you were a kid? Did you go somewhere in Chicago to watch fireworks, or did you watch them in your backyard? There was actually a quarry, a giant quarry that was nearby my house, and me and my parents and my grandparents would always drive to the quarry to go see see the fireworks because they would be shot right above it, and you would see like all the little smoke trails go down, and it was always just a great display. Technically, I think it was Thornton that would put on the fireworks display, but we would go see them by just like sort of driving over to the side of the quarry and watching them. Also, shout out to Chicago right now. Man, oh man, are they going through it in terms of the storms. That quarry that I talked about going to see the fireworks get shot out of, that quarry is actually completely flooded with water right now. They have had so much rain, so I hope that all my Chicago viewers have been staying safe during the storms. The next question comes from Stephen Dog, who said, do you think Nintendo will ever make their presence known again at EVO, especially if there's a new Smash game, or is the relationship too strained at this point to make it possible to come back? This is actually a very good question and something that was brought up when I was at EVO last week. I do feel that if there ever is a new Smash game, Nintendo will probably cut a deal with EVO to be present, even though technically like Sony still owns a portion of EVO. I know now like Saudi princes or something own EVO. Somebody owns EVO now, but like I think partially it still is owned by PlayStation. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. Yeah, I feel like, again, if there is a big thing that they're looking to push, that I could see Nintendo attending. But in terms of like a big presence at EVO during a year where there's not a new game, I don't think it's ever going to happen again, unfortunately. Also, I just feel like in general, after 2020 and all the stuff that happened in the Smash fandom, I feel like Nintendo probably does not want to touch that community with a 10-foot pole in terms of like doing events that aren't directly run by Nintendo. So yeah, unfortunately, I think unless there's a new game, we're probably not going to see it Smash at EVO anytime soon. And the last question this week comes from Oleman, who said, what are your hopes and expectations for Anime Expo this year? Again, Anime Expo's already happened, so instead of giving hopes and predictions, I am instead going to share things that I saw at Anime Expo that I'm excited for. The first of which is the new remake of Ghost in the Shell. I believe it is already going to have the first episode on Prime by the time this episode of Touch Base goes live, and I do kind of want to react to them on stream. I don't know if we're going to run into copyright issues, but man, you know this if you're a longtime fan of the channel. I love the original Ghost in the Shell movie. I love Standalone Complex. I remember staying up late watching Adult Swim, hearing da 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 da, and apparently those shows, I never knew this as a kid, but those shows did not really directly adapt the manga the same way this new reboot is doing it. So this new reboot is apparently like one-to-one with the manga and has this really beautiful 90s anime aesthetic that I am super into. This was also present, by the way, in Orbitals, which I didn't bring up during the Roger Roundup, but now I can actually talk about it. I played Orbitals at Summer Game Fest. I loved that game. I think it totally nailed the aesthetic of the time, and I feel like Ghost in the Shell is nailing it as well. So that's a big one I'm looking forward to. Another one is the adaptation of Ladies Don't Play Fighting Games. I believe this is also out on Crunchyroll right now. This is the competitive fighting game player anime that just recently released. I'm stoked to watch it. I know nothing about it other than the fact that one of the characters plays Street Fighter, and I don't really want to know more about it. I just want to go watch it for myself. And finally, the last thing that happened during Anime Expo that I'm supremely excited for, that I also brought up earlier during this, is the final core for the 1,000-Year Blood War. Again, I have been having a blast reacting to Bleach live on stream. I have loved what we watched already of the first 3 seasons, and now that we're into the final season and I thankfully remain unspoiled, I am stoked to see not only how they're going to adapt it after going back and rereading it when this is all done, I am also supremely excited to see what they add to it. I know there's a lot of people who are hardcore Bleach fans in my audience who are going to be tuning into those live reaction streams that I'm doing, who have told me that they know that there's going to be newly added content done by Kubo in this final season. So I am absolutely stoked for that. But I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of Touch Base. Once again, massive thank you to all the new viewers, all the new subscribers, and all the old heads who have stuck with me. We have such an exciting rest of the year planned in terms of videos and streams, and I just can't wait to get back to work. So once again, thank you all for supporting the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Nakama!